Welcome to Star Citizen, and today we're taking a look at arguably one of the best, or perhaps even the best, light fighter in the game. Of course, I'm talking about the Aegis Gladius. There are three types of this ship, but they're all pretty much the same, so I'm just gonna go over them by name. The stock Gladius that we have here, then we have the Pirate Gladius and the Valiant Gladius. They have exactly the same stats, and their main difference, of course, is a bit on the looks and having different types of main weapons equipped. So there are two ships that come pretty close to this Gladius. There is the Anvil Arrow and the Spear Blade, which come pretty close to Gladius. The Gladius is most maneuverable and has the most amount of health out of all of these ships. Now the Blade comes actually pretty close, and it is arguable which one of these ships is better, but Gladius is the only one here that can have all its weapons size 3. With the blade, you have a combo of size 2s and 3s, and with the arrow, I believe you have a combo of size 1s and 3s. The size difference is also remarkable, arrow being the smallest, and Gladius and blade being pretty much equally as big. Blade actually sticks out more because it's got curved wings and they are actually pretty wide, and they can be easily shot off, which is a big downside for that ship. And the arrow just having the smallest signatures overall. It's a small ship, little sneaky light fighter. It may not compete with these, but it's got its own little twist going. The stock loadout actually isn't that bad. Now the weapons I don't really approve, but having all military grade C at least is a pretty good start. Plus all the rockets that you have are quite big, size 2 and size 3 rockets. Those can cause quite a bit of damage. Also having two shields, which gives you a bit more resilience. For my own loadout, I of course picked all military grade A components and FL-33 cannons because they're pretty decent. I didn't change the rockets as usual, and even I don't see the need to change them on this ship. I also highly suggest swapping out the quantum drive because the ship doesn't have that much fuel. 3 size 3s actually give you quite a bit of firepower, especially for a light fighter, and that's why it's one of the best. Plus, the good maneuvering and decent speed helps a lot. It's also the main ship in Squadron 42, which means it's got a lot of work put into it. That being said, the ship has plenty of things to interact with. So there is, I believe, the fuel lid right next to the entrance of your ship, where you can enter the ship, the ladder, all the little things. Then on the side we have access to some of these little components, which is nice, up here and down there as well. I'm guessing this is meant for repair gameplay. On the other side we have access to the ship's inventory, and up front you can actually store 2 weapons. This is probably one of the coolest weapon racks I have seen. It just pops out of the nose and you can close it and put them back in there. I'm guessing this is also somewhat planned ahead for the moment when you cannot sit into the pilot seat with heavy armor or heavier armors and weapons attached to your back. Since we're dealing with light fighter, the ship's inventory isn't really that big. You can store your light armor and perhaps some few more items in there, but not really much more. Light armor, gun, med pens, med gun, and it's 70% filled. Being the most mobile ship in the game, having size 3 weapons, and actually having 2 shields makes it pretty formidable for a light fighter. Plus, it has bigger health pool than most light fighters, and the size 3s will decimate even heavier foes. You just need to maneuver the ship correctly and there will be no problem. But then again, if something harder hits you, you may go out of commission, and that is why I prefer the military components. We're dealing with one of the more fragile ships. That's what light fighters are. They're all fragile. Now, some are more so than others, but being able to fight back without your ship suffering any module damage or, well, losing some components that may shut your ship down, that is pretty important to me. It is really comfortable to fly, and even if you reclaim this ship, since it's a light fighter, it doesn't have that long of a cooldown before you can get it. Already this ship having access to the inventory and weapon storage is quite enough for a light fighter, single-seater ship like this. And even the stock loadout is quite formidable. It is also quite famous for the PvP crowd, because light fighters versus light fighters, of course everyone wants the best. For a long period this was very dominant, then came the changes to the blade, and now they are, well, I would say Gladius is slightly better, but I guess these days it comes down to taste. If you want to try this ship, I highly recommend. It's one of the better fighters. if you are into that sort of gameplay. What is also good, you have a pretty big field of view up front of you, somewhat to the left and right, and above you. And you do get 2 monitors on the left and right, on which you can see your shields and your target, which are also very comfortable. Now the weapons loadout could have been better, but I prefer these FL33s because I can get some decent hits in when I am precise. Anyway, try it, perhaps even buy it, and I highly suggest it. And thanks for watching.